So it used to be, a long time ago, in the time of my grandmother even, it's like hundreds or so years ago, people used to know when did the Roman Empire end. And they would say, in 476 AD, German king Odoacer came into Rome. He kicked out the last Roman emperor, and the last Roman emperor name was Romulus. Like the Romulus who founded the city of Rome. Romulus and Remus, the famous brothers, twins. So that's how the Roman Empire ended. It turns out that the story of the end of Rome is much more complicated. Let me just pull out the map. So we're going to Rome. The Roman Empire was really, it brought together all these ancient cultures that we studied so far in the first 6 chapters. But it was essentially a Mediterranean empire. This is the Mediterranean, and the Romans called it Mare Nostrum, our sea. And most of the people in the empire lived on the shores of the Mediterranean. They didn't go very far. Big cities of Rome, Athens, Constantinople, Cartagena Nueva, here in Spain, Carthage was rebuilt, Alexandria, Antioch. These were all ancient Roman cities. Marseille, here in the south of France, and so on and so forth. So this was the Roman culture. The Romans ventured into the north, across the Alps, in particular into France, Gaul, conquered by Julius Caesar. And later, actually, it was Claudius, Emperor Claudius, who invaded Britain and made Britain into a Roman province all the way up to Scotland. Up here, there was a wall that was called the Wall of Hadrian. And they built the wall to protect Roman Britain from the Picts and the Celts that were living to the north of the wall. But that's as far north as the Romans went. I told you before that the boundary between the Romans and people who were living on the other side of the Rhine, and this is the river Rhine here. Oops, not that much. This is the Rhine emptying itself, a couple of branches, into the North Sea in Holland. This is Rotterdam. If you look at the ships at New York Harbor, a good half of the ships that they leave New York Harbor, it goes to Rotterdam in Holland. Why? Because Rhine today is the lifeblood of Europe, the lifeline, so to speak, because the river flows all the way from the south, from the Alps in the south, here in Switzerland, passing by the city of Strasbourg, which is the European capital, and this is the Rhine, so Karlsruhe and Mannheim. It doesn't go to Frankfurt, but it goes to Mainz, and then further north to Cologne. So this is the heartland of German industry. Bonn, Cologne, Düsseldorf, and then empties into the North Sea. So the whole German industry is linked to Rhine, and from the port of Rotterdam to the rest of the world, in particular to us here in New York Harbor. But in the ancient times, the Rhine was the boundary between the Roman world and the world of the Germans. The end of Rome was a three-strike sort of issue. First attacked by the Romans, by the Germans, then the Roman Empire was attacked by the Slavs, and then by the Arabs. And it happened in the time span of about 200 and something years. The Germans started invading at 378 AD. And that's the beginning of Germanic invasions of Rome. So the Germanic invasion started from 378 to 476 AD. And you still see the difference between the Roman parts of Europe, like France, and the German parts of Europe. Like, for example, here in Strasbourg, right? It's not Strasbourg, that would be German, it's Strasbourg, French, and it's supposedly a French city. And here, on this side, they eat a lot of cheese and butter, and snails dipped in butter. And here on the other side, the Germans, what's a typical German food? Sausages and sauerkraut, right? You know what sauerkraut is? Sauerkraut? Have you tried it? What does it taste like?
It's looking like acidic.
Yes, it's pickled.
No.
Pickled cabbage. Pickled cabbage, pickled cucumbers. These are sort of all Germanic. And you pickle things to have them available for the winter. The winter in Germany are much harsher than the Roman winters in the Mediterranean. So you have to prepare stuff for the winter, and you prepare by pickling things. It's awful. Well, at least I hate it. But Germans love it. Sausages and sauerkraut. So anyways, Rhine is a bit of a cultural boundary in Europe. It's the boundary between the Roman world and the German world. I told you also that there would be Slavs mentioned. Slavs would be people in Poland, Ukraine, Belarus, Serbia. Those are Slavic people, right? They also contributed to the fall of the Roman Empire. The Roman Empire fell it was destroyed by the people that the Romans sort of didn't expect was going to destroy them. The Romans were really focused, their main enemy were the Persians. And Persian Empire, we know it since the time of Cyrus the Great, and at that time it extended from Greeks all the way to India. But then after the Romans conquered Mediterranean, inside was Persia. It was a well-organized empire that lasted as long as the Roman Empire, if not longer. And the Romans thought that this was the enemy. This was a serious enemy. These Germans, they could be trouble. They had several very, very bad encounters with the Germans, but it was not an organized state. It was various tribes led by certain tribal leaders, and they can come together and create havoc and create a lot of problems, but there was no organization of the state behind it in the way of the Persian Empire. It turned out actually that the final blow, I said it was the trifecta, the Germans, the Slavs, and the Arabs. Arabs lived in Arabia. Actually, Saudi Arabia is the name, Saudi is the name of the royal family. So, Arabians or Arabs were people who lived in the desert of Arabia. It turned out that they were the ones who really gave the final blow and killed the Roman Empire. But so far, we have first the Germans, then the Slavs, Persians, and Arabs. No enemies here? Why not? Nothing in Africa? You notice the change of color? This is the equatorial Africa, and this is the Sahara Desert. So it's a natural border. The Romans actually traveled across the Sahara Desert and reached the equatorial Africa and okay, not for us, and came back. Anyways, but next time around we'll start talking about the Germans, how they came in. So that's all what I have for you guys today.